So, the emotion that's responsible for some of the greatest ever human achievements, but also the emotion that's responsible for the murders and the heinous crimes that you see on a daily basis. One of the most powerful emotions that we have is anger. And ultimately, if we don't know how to conquer it, then it will conquer us because of its power. Now, this video is inspired by the book Stillness is the Key. This is one of the best books I've ever read in my life. Great book. And there's a chapter called Conquer Your Anger. So we're going to be going through specifically what anger is, how it manifests into actions, where it comes from, but most importantly, how to conquer it. Anger is one of those things that has taken a lot from me. It might have taken a lot from you, but I can say now that conquering my anger was able to give way more than it ever took. So, lock in, get your notepad. Let's get through this together. So first of all, anger. Anger is the release of adrenaline. So when we feel this emotion of anger, what actually happens physiologically to our body is adrenaline is released. Now, adrenaline, as you know, is incredibly powerful. Adrenaline is what we get from, being in high states, or it might be on a roller coaster. It might be you're about to get in a fight. It might be you're about to do something which is like not normal. We get adrenaline. Now, anger releases this same adrenaline. And keep this in mind. So, and there's three places that anger comes from. There's three reasons why anger sparks within us. Anger is not something we feel based on what happens around us. It is something that we feel based on how we interpret it. Anger is something that sparks and builds based on three things: our fear of something, our ego, and the third one is our insecurity. Now, I've put here that anger, you can either gain the world or lose your soul. But you can also gain the world and lose your soul with anger if you don't conquer it. So without further ado, I'm going to give you a little insight into how this anger, this feeling of anger manifested and changed my life for both the worse and for the better. Bosh, there I am. All right. So as I said, anger is the feeling that we feel. But where does it come from? Now, anger comes from insecurity, and I'm going to be really transparent with you. On the left side, there's me boxing. Learning how to box. This is me a year deep into my journey, where I would say that I've reached a point of conscious competence, which simply means that able to do it to a level. By no means am I a professional boxer, but just able to do it to a level. Insecurity. So before I got into the boxing ring, I had an insecurity my whole life of not being able to defend myself. I also had fear. What if I get hurt? Now, if any situation arises externally, which somebody could point at and say, I'm not sure if you could defend yourself, or a situation actually occurred where I would then need to defend myself, I would get really angry. The reason I would get so angry is not because of the situation, but of how I've interpreted it. The reason why I would get so angry is because I was insecure about my ability to defend myself. And hopefully this is going to start building patterns as to how we deal with this. And then the next one was fear. So as I actually stepped into the arena, boxing, combat, any sort of combat, I was scared. And I would never really show it. I would just get on with it. But I was very scared of getting hurt. But it wasn't until I reframed this, what if I get hurt, to I'm already hurt. I came here because I'm hurt. And there's some really powerful ways that we can look at anger, in a sense of it's either we can go through, and I'm touching on the solution, but I'll touch on it in more depth later in the video. But it's either we spend our time outside of that area learning how to defend ourselves, and we're hurting every day when someone points at an insecurity or a situation arises, or which is emotional hurt, or we go through a little bit of physical hurt. I'll be honest, getting hit doesn't actually hurt that much, but we go through a bit of physical hurt to remove that emotional hurt. Now, as I mentioned, at that point, I had no fear sparring. I spar anyone. I don't mind. If a situation arises in my life, of course, there's still nerves. I'm still, you'll still get a little bit like, ooh, ooh, sort of thing. But it starts to disappear because you're like, I've done hundreds of repetitions. I fought hundreds of people. I've done this hundreds of times. That doesn't mean you're going to win. It doesn't mean you know exactly what you're doing. It just means that the anger that you feel starts to dilute. Because where does anger come from? Not the situation, but how we interpret it. Keep this in mind. So I'll go to the second picture on to my right. And it was insecurity. This picture was, I think yesterday I took this picture, just coming off a bulk, you know what I mean, shredding down. And I'm going to talk about bulking in the future because my fear of bulking actually comes from, I mean, my fear of getting out of shape again. But I went on a bulk anyway, put on a lot of mass, a lot of strength, all of that stuff. And now I'm going through the process of shredding again. And this is how I'm looking at the moment. I'm pretty proud of how I'm looking, but still a lot to go. Anyways, that's besides the point. The reason why I use this one, insecurity, again, is because for me, as a kid growing up, someone would say, oh, you're fat or you're chubby or whatever. And the amount of anger that I would then experience was through the roof. I can't even explain how much anger I felt, how much insecurity I felt. I've spoken before about going to a swimming pool. I kept my top on. I kept my t-shirt on, going to a swimming pool with friends when I was younger because of how insecure I was about how I looked. Now, not understand this. Our insecurities are going to follow us around forever until we handle them, until we deal with them. And those insecurities, going back to the point, are going to release anger if somebody pokes at it. Now, there's this culture of, it's their fault, it's somebody else's fault. And, you know what I mean, tell the teacher or you know what I mean, all of this stuff. There is that culture. But that culture sets us up for failure long term. What sets us up for success long term is not, someone called me fat, tell them off. Or someone called me fat, they're wrong. No, it's someone called me fat. And if, for now, for example, if somebody calls me fat now, I'll laugh. It won't even land. It won't even hit. I'd be. It's funny to me. Why? Not the situation hasn't changed. When I'm younger, when I was really young, someone called me fat. Anger. Oh, I need to do something. Now someone calls me fat, I'll laugh. Why? I haven't changed much. However, we don't change. It's how we interpret it that changes, and how we interpret it changes based on the reality. Now, the reality is I'm in shape. Now, I'm gonna get onto how this can be applied in your life. And this is something I'm still learning. I'm gonna be really transparent at the end of this video. I'm gonna tell you about one that I'm still struggling with right now. But ultimately, this hurt my ego. And as I said, what did we say at the start? Where does anger come from? Anger comes from a hit on the ego, insecurity, or fear. And these are simply my ones, and how I managed to use my anger in the direction of solving the problem, which by extension got rid of the anger. So that leads me on perfectly to tame the beast. Tame the beast. How to tame the beast. Now, simply, the beast eats. That's the title. It can reframe the title. The beast eats. He either eats you or the world. And what I mean by this is that insecurity, fear, or ego, that anger that we feel inside, either eats us and inside of us, and constantly contemplating, am I good enough? Am I able? Am I this? Am I that? Or that person said this, or what if they think this, or what if they think that? And constantly eating away at us, that is eating us. Or it takes it and it says, right, I'm feeling this. Boom, there's a task in front of me, or there's a problem that I need to solve. This emotion that I'm feeling is a signpost to the next thing I have to solve. So like I said, with a fighting one, you have two choices. You can learn how to defend yourself, or you can not, and that feeling is just going to continue to be there. Or what if something happens and I'm in a situation? What am I going to do? Well, you can find out what you're going to do, or you can let that feeling continue to manifest. Now, the beast is simply our emotion. I want to be clear with this. The beast is simply the emotion. So that emotion is going to stay. It's either going to stay inside or it's going to be used to tackle the things around us, tackle the task, tackle the problem, tackle the idea that we have, manifesting it, putting it into an action. If we're out of shape, it's going to tackle, you know what I mean, the first 3 months of getting into the ability of flow state and habit creation to the point where we don't even need any emotions and we just become a new person. That emotion is what triggers it and tackles it at the start. Now, ultimately, with all of this, to tame the beast, the goal is self-mastery. Now, self-mastery is simply the ability to have the goal in mind, have the outcome in mind, and only do actions that align with the outcome, irrespective of how we feel. So I've used this example all of the time, but the goal is self-mastery. So that is simply redirecting energy in motion towards your goal, irrespective of what emotion is felt. Go back to anger. Anger is felt. Now, that anger, as mentioned at the start of the video, is one of the most powerful emotions that we can feel as human beings. So there's a choice that follows after that anger. Do I redirect the most powerful, one of the most powerful emotions that I can feel as a human into changing the situation, or do I channel it into destroying it? Do I channel it into reacting to something someone said? Do I channel it into nothing and just sit there with the emotion like this? We have the choice. Now, the simple title of Tame the Beast is The Beast Eats. He either eats you or the world. And that's the best way I can put it. Your insecurities, our insecurities don't go. Our fears, they don't go. Our ego, they don't go. We manage it. We channel it. We direct it into the things that give back. Redirecting energy in motion, which emotion is simply energy in motion towards your goal, irrespective of what emotion is felt. If you are somebody right now that is feeling insecure about the way you look, if you're feeling insecure about a skill that you have, if you're feeling insecure about your ability to speak, go up to somebody, say hi, go up to the girl that you want to speak to, or whatever it is you want to do. If you're feeling insecure about that insecurity, my friend, is not going anywhere. It ain't going nowhere until you start to tackle it. Once you've done something 100 times, you'll be surprised how that emotion disappears. Once you've done, I don't know, football. If you're a footballer, I love football. But if you're a footballer and you can do 100 keepy-ups easy, you can do around the world, all these tricks and whatnot. If somebody come to you and said, you're rubbish at football, you can't do any keepy-ups, you'd laugh. You'd laugh it off. It wouldn't even spark an emotion. You'd find it funny. Why? Because you can do it. So at the start, we need to take all of that emotion that it would spark if we can't do it. So if you can't do the keepy-ups, if you can't play football, there's an emotion that's going to spark, and it's going to be anger. It's going to be frustration. It's going to be, they're right. Now we can either use that emotion, that powerful emotion called anger, to react directly, or we can take it, almost put it in a little jar, put the lid on the jar, say, cool, give me a minute, give me a week, give me a month, give me however long it takes. And then we can go and utilize it for the better. Tame the beast, conquer your anger is one of the most powerful reframes and redirections that's completely changed my life. And this might be something you've already put into practice, but it can definitely change yours. So I hope you enjoyed. Love for the love, as always. Yeah, that's that. Conquer your tame the beast. Become a master of the self. That don't mean perfect, by the way. It's not about perfection. It's about intention. But anyways, till the next one. Love for the love.